All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the MIDCONVO podcast. Woohoo!
Hey.
It's your boys, Ed and Paul. We got a really awesome episode today because we got a special guest in the house.
It's my wifey, Sami.
Whew. Yeah,
she made it on.
We're going to get all the inside scoop on Paul from this episode.
Yep, come on.
No, but for real, though, it's a fire episode because Sami, Paul's wife, has a lot of background in the creative industry. And I think that they have worked a lot together. They actually worked at the same agency together. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of things that we're going to cover in this episode that talk about working with your spouse.
Mm-hmm. Or significant other.
Yeah, or significant
other. For those
other.
that are maybe dating. And I think it's cool because Sami she's worn a lot of different hats in the creative world, if you will. So yeah, I'm stoked to kind of have that conversation and see what she has to say. Yeah. And let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Just to preface, guys, I am a bystander on this episode. Nice. I'm just the audio guy. If you guys saw the video right now, I have the Zoom. I'm just here to make sure we're not peeking.
So for those YouTube viewers, Edward be chilling. Kind of. Yeah.
No, but for real
you're good at the turntables and the audio mixer.
Hey, so. I'm excited though because.
Are you for hire for weddings for DJ?
Man, get out of here, bro. Come on now. Don't expose me like that. All right, what's good, Sami?
What's up?
Sheesh.
Yeah, there we go. We knew this was gonna happen, right?
Can we get an intro?
Yeah. Sami's intro. Should I do it or should Sami?
Who is Sami?
All right. This is my lovely wife, Sami.
What's up, guys?
And you're about to hear a lot about our journey working together. We've been married for 4 years, going on 5. And she has a huge part in my freelance journey as a photographer. So we figured it would be a great conversation to have around what it's like working with your spouse. For some listeners, it might be your significant other. And then for others, boyfriend and girlfriend. So
yeah, definitely. And I feel like Sami also has a lot of experience in the creative industry as well. I want to hear how you guys met and all that stuff, but also just like that whole journey of balancing, maybe on Sami's story, on her side of balancing the creative work with life and just how all that happens. Because so many people are caught up in the creative world without taking in life as it comes.
That's good.
So I'm just curious about hear all that. So Sami, what do you want to talk about today?
I'm excited to talk about, juggling being in a relationship and then also creating healthy boundaries and structure around your work-life balance. And I'm excited to talk about, some of the harder points in our careers and how we overcame them, some strategies and tools and tips that we were able to, adapt as we were faced with those challenges and learn how to overcome them.
And if you're here from Sami's audience, we know y'all had some questions. So we'll be sure to answer those too in this episode.
I love
Shout
it.
out.
And I just want to point out that what's so cool about this is Sami is a mom. She's a content creator. She does freelance styling. She does freelance a little bit of everything. And maybe to paint the picture a little bit before we go into stories, share about how you got into just being creative from maybe day one all the way up until now, just to preface kind of the stories that we're about to tell and kind of the lessons that we've learned.
For sure. First, I want to say I'm so honored to be on your podcast.
Hey, the MIDCONVO podcast,
let's
you already
go.
know what it is.
Hype
This
boys
is my
out here.
first podcast, so here we are. And I look up to both of you guys so much. You guys are paving the way for business entrepreneurs, and I'm just lucky to be here.
Woohoo!
So, just starting off with my journey out of college, I was working for a production agency and was working as an editor, was doing some styling and just behind the scenes working retail. And that's when I met Paul. We clicked right away around a shoot and just realized that we had really similar creative minds and felt like, wow, we have something special here and let's continue to see what we can create together. he ended up joining my agency and was hired on probably a year after freelancing project to project. And then shortly after that, we really kind of got into a flow of first time ever working with a significant other. Obviously, we were dating at the time, and then eventually got engaged. We ended up leaving that agency and starting our own thing. Paul and I both were kind of pursuing separately, but together, a career in content creation and brand photography and videography. So it was navigating a lot of really intense things. And on top of it, we were trying to figure out how to be married, which we're still trying to figure out.
Hey, let's go.
But we definitely learned a lot of hard challenges and a lot of cool things. And we're excited to share. About a couple years ago, before the pandemic, I ended up shifting and taking a full-time position at Target and ended up staying there for a year. And then when the pandemic hit, Paul basically asked me to join his company and needed some extra support. So then we spent the last couple of years working together, got pregnant, had a baby, all the good things.
Mila, if y'all don't know, this is one of the cutest babies I done ever seen in my life. So
she's pretty
maybe
cute.
We'll feature somewhere in the clips. But anyway, just had to make that a point.
She's pretty special. So yeah, that's kind of like my recap of my career. And obviously I've taken a step back as of recently to focus on being a mom, which has been the most rewarding thing. But as Mila's getting older, I've just been kind of working part-time and reincorporating some content creation and projects into my career or into my schedule. And that has been really life-giving and awesome. And I'm learning to juggle it all. And that has been super exciting. We recently moved to Miami, which has been super fun to just navigate a brand new city, a lot of big change. And yeah.
I love that. What was your first impression of Paul? Like when you first met him, like no lie, don't lie on the mic, okay?
Hey, this
y'all married now.
I don't know if I can say this.
But like what was like when you first saw him? Was like, what was the vibe you got from this dude?
Yes.
I want to hear.
I don't know if I can say this. I'm dying. Well, he walked in. He was very confident, self-assured, which was great.
Yes.
I think I thought he was a little bit of a Guido because he was super tan
and
had really big
Minnesota
muscles.
Be getting some sunshine. Also, at that time, I was trying to build my fashion portfolio, and Sami was a fashion blogger. So, little context.
Yeah. So we were working together on a shoot, and that was really special. And honestly, we just really hit it off as friends. There was nothing like. There really wasn't any attraction right off the bat just because we were so focused on, just being professional. And
that's a really good segue into my question, which is, how did you guys navigate that? Like at the agency, like when I can't even imagine. I mean, Christine's not here. That's my wife, but I can't imagine what it would be like literally being on set with your wife. And not only is it like, it's different now because you own the company, like it's you guys, it's your business, but when you work for someone and then you're on the same team,
I know.
That's like, how do you manage that dynamic as a couple though? That's crazy.
Yeah. First of all, I was dating Sami while she was signed at this agency where, they did a lot of different things, but I think their primary service was creating photo and video content for some big brands. And again, I was contracted on at the beginning, kind of the boss man was testing the waters with me to see if I was capable enough because I was Sami's boyfriend. But then it was cool because it got to the point where we were months in of dating and the boss of this agency, our boss, he was like, "Hey, Paul, let's sit down. I got to ask you a couple of questions." And he's like, "How serious are you with Sami?" So it was cool because no one in a million years should hire two people that are dating at a company.
Especially as small as the one that we were working for.
It was a small company.
It was very small team.
The ship could have sunk if we would have just, had a bad breakup. So like he was definitely putting a lot of trust into us, which is cool because he saw how we communicated.
Yeah.
He saw our love for one another. But I mean, it was challenging working at that company together because, again, we were on client shoots where we couldn't necessarily act as if we were dating because we wanted to keep it professional, but also we're creative people. And when two creative people come together, we have very different thoughts, ideas. So it's like, how do you navigate that? But also, we literally drove to work together and drove home together. It's like, how do you drive to work and drive home while still being like, oh, I love you. And it was tough because work can get in the way sometimes, especially when
for sure
your coworker is someone that you really admire.
Yeah. I think one thing I can not me personally relate to, but my parents, they run like a small mom and pop shop.
Panini shop.
Yeah, a panini.
I'm trying to get a panini soon.
But for real though, they have worked together for decades now, and it's so crazy to see it. Like sometimes I feel like it is healthy to have some space, even like in a marriage, like, you know, have your own space to like chill out, do your own thing.
Yeah.
But I can see how like working together and then coming home together, then you're like eating dinner together. So it's like a lot of togetherness.
Mm-hmm.
And some people that can either make or break their relationship.
Yeah.
You know, obviously in your guys' case, it made your relationship and now you guys are doing awesome. But it's interesting to hear that dynamic because now I don't feel like everyone can survive out of that, to be honest.
No.
Because there's a professional mode and then there's like the boyfriend-girlfriend mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you balance that in between, you know?
I think especially with creatives, because they're sensitive, fragile human beings sometimes when it comes to their ideas. And that's so
funny.
Beautiful thing, because so much originality and just art comes out of those types of minds. But I think that when you are in a relationship with someone who is equally like strong-willed about their creative ideas, it can definitely rock the boat.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. We went from, first couple weeks of dating and going on these coffee dates where we spend 5 hours at a coffee shop to working together where we spend literally the whole day together, every day of the week. And then we'd shoot on the weekend sometimes. And there was times where we would be in pitch meetings with national brands, pitching to the client concepts and treatments. And like, it was cool because at the same time, although it was challenging, it was also rewarding. Mm. And that's what I think is so cool if you can get past that, kind of that tug of war when it comes to working with people on a team as a creative at agencies. I've heard it before from even friends of mine that work at agencies with just other individuals is, it really goes to show how you work as a team. And when you're married and when you're engaged and when we were dating, it was a testament to our dating and like how our relationship was. And don't get me wrong, there was times where we would, I remember many times where I'd be like, where did she go? And she would just like, she would have gone home early because she was pissed at me for something, vice versa. Because guess what? Life happens, and it's no different than if you have a coworker at a job and you just, you might be having a bad day. We made sure that we allowed that space so then the other one could process, which I think was also helpful.
I think when we were first starting out, we definitely hit some big challenges, like around that conversation piece of communicating things. And I feel like now there are specific things that we implement intentionally in order to avoid conflict. I mean, I'll never forget when we were at a national shoot and I was styling it, and it's like super long days and you have like 15 different looks and each look has different accessories and shoes and whatever. Yeah. And you walking up to me and saying like, okay, that's not going to work. I don't like this look. Like, you need to change it. And I remember being like so offended. And I think the hard part about, and I'm sure I've offended you a million times, but I think the hard thing about working with your spouse is you have that trust bit, and you have that like relationship where it's like you can be as candid as possible, where that's not the case. You would never approach a coworker the way you approach your spouse to give them feedback. And I think that like as we've grown as a couple, we've had to create some more boundaries around our communication style when it comes to our work so that it feels like we're coworkers. Because I think especially as creatives, like someone tells you your work sucks, you shut down. And like how many times have we done that to each other?
True.
Countless, you know? So
true.
And that those were like low moments for us, but I feel like I'm excited to talk about, you know, what we did. It's a good segue.
Hey, I just want to say,
Dang.
when it comes to our journey, dating, engagement, getting married, having a baby, looking back, even in this conversation, I think what was so huge for us was, I know some couples, they decide to live together before they get married, and I think that's that's fine for them. But for us, a huge test was working together before we got married. We fell into it because we're both so passionate. So you get two passionate individuals that are into very similar things. You put them in a room and on a team, and you see how they work together. And that gave me the confidence. That gave me, I guess it's the confidence times two that I was going to be supported in the long run, which goes such a long way. And that kind of, trickled into our next journey is starting a business together.
Yeah, I think you guys both brought up a really good point in that being a creative is very, we can get some sensitive sometimes, you know what I mean? Like we hold our work very closely. It could be a national shoot, but it could be a TikTok.
Yeah.
Like if you say my TikTok is trash, I'm beefing, So
that's the best. Yeah, that's true.
Us as creatives, we're very attached to our work, no matter how small or how big.
And I think it, especially when it comes from someone that you really respect and you're super close to, because
Paul's phone just went off.
Sorry, my phone's going off. Oh, look who it is.
By the way, Mila's going to bed. Are you guys good on?
We're good. Yeah, now? She's down. She's down for the night, maybe.
She's working on it.
Okay. If we at any point,
I'll give you like a little
Okay, we'll give a little tap here, guys.
A little.
If we needed to pause on the podcast, but so I want to go into a little bit more of maybe, Sammy, can you tell us a little bit about like how you've managed to find that work-life balance? I guess I know you took a step back, obviously, fast forward to now, and you're not full-time working at an agency and whatnot. But I feel like a lot of times, at least from what I've seen, me and Paul are kind of similar in this way. When we go in on something, we go like all in on it, right? And we're very like a full send type of mentality. And I think that's natural as a creative. But like, Sammy, how have you been able to how have you created this safe space for yourself where you're content with your creativity, but you're also doing life at really intentionally? Like that's a hard middle ground to find, because most people are either full send into what they're doing and they neglect everything else, or they just neglect their ambitions and their goals 100%. And then they just like get back to quote unquote reality. But how have you been able to balance that kind of middle ground, I guess? It's hard to do,
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like it's a different situation for myself, because as a content creator, I can really take on projects as they come and decide whether or not I have margin for them and if they're going to be worth my time, emotions, or whatever. I think prior to having a baby and being more full-time, honestly, even when I was full-time working at Target, I was still working on side projects. So I feel like a little bit of it is just my lifestyle of knowing that it gives me life to have other projects on the table, even that are separate from what I do day to day. And it's important for me to have another output as a creative to really let myself explore and just be free and take my mind off of things that are the things I face day to day. And not to like say that anything that I commit to, whether that's being a mom full-time or being at a full-time company or agency, is not enough. But I think that my personality type has just always needed something separate to have like a creative outlet. And so I kind of built up a clientele and also some momentum around content creation really intentionally during my pregnancy. And during my time with Paul, anytime he wouldn't need me, I would just really be intentional about continuing to build a clientele list. And now I'm kind of in a really great spot with a baby where if I need a sitter for a day, once a week or a couple of days a week, I can kind of increase my client list and then kind of quarter to quarter reassess if I want to be working more or if I need to scale back and be more present with my daughter. And I feel like it just, I mean, I think as a creative, we really do create our own lifestyles. And it's really, I feel like important to understand, how you want your life work balance to be, and then put a plan of action in place to implement that.
That's good.
Yeah. How important, maybe Paul, you can answer this. How important do you think it is to have a plan in place for content? Like when I hear Sammy's experience, it almost kind of sounds like, of course she's a creative and she has ambition, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like the puzzle pieces kind of fell into place almost in a way, but obviously intentionally. Because something that I struggle with personally is I need to over strategize everything, right? As creatives, we want to make sure things are successful. That's one of my biggest blessings and curse because I want to over strategize everything. Sometimes I just never start anything because I'm trying to over strategize it.
Yeah.
There's a measure of spunk and just free flowing energy that needs to come out as a creative.
Yeah.
You're super business oriented, Paul, and you're super into getting all that locked in. Where is that? How do you find that? Where's that free flow part where you're just I'm just going to grab my camera today and just go film something or shoot something?
Yeah. That's where I think Sami really comes in with our workflow balance. Cause I have all my clients are for the most part on retainer.
Yeah.
I love working with clients on retainer because you're able to grow a long-term relationship with them. And also I get to know my clients more that way. But when it comes to working with Sami on projects, her freelance clients, whether it's through social media or whether it's just strictly content creation, it's almost healthy for me because I'm able to step out of what I'm typically shooting month to month. And I mean, we've done some awesome projects together from small startups all the way to brands like Free People. So what's cool about that is I'm stretched creatively because I've kind of niched down to health and wellness and fitness over the last couple of years. And Sami does a lot in beauty. She does a lot in fashion. She does a lot in just everything that fits the modern woman, I guess. So I think that's a good kind of way that I've been able to approach still being inspired and also taking time off from the day to day is by, I mean, it's cool that Sami's getting these gigs and stuff because it's an opportunity for me to just create freely.
I like that a lot because there's a lot of things that I think you take away. You feed off each other, which I love. Yeah. And I think that's one of the big takeaways that people should have if you're two creatives in a relationship, it should be fueling for each other. If you don't feel fueled by each other, I feel like you're headed in the wrong direction. Yeah. Because then it leads to competition, or it could lead to just neglect or whatever. You should feel fueled by each other. It's kind of like when me and Christine are together and I come home and she's working on TikToks. Yeah. And I'm hyping her up when I come in, Yeah,
you're dang.
I'm just dang, I'm in a
she's posting 3 a day.
Yeah, I'm in a rut because I can't make this YouTube video. And she's out here just making stuff happen.
Crushing it.
And it makes me you know what? Yeah, I need to stop over strategizing. You just need to make stuff happen. She's out here with her Amazon tripod and her phone just making these TikTok videos, and I'm stressing about FX3 or A7 IV on these big stuff, and I'm dude, I need to get on my game.
That's the
and
truth,
so it is being creatively fueled by your partner, I think is really is a really important factor.
And one thing that we'll do sometimes is once a week we'll sit down and figure out our schedule for the upcoming week, and if she has shoots, we'll put it on the calendar. If I need to help her in supporting with photo or video, I can do that, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can tell you right now, in the month of February and March, we got many different shoots where we're both going to be on it. In some shoots, I'm going to be the photographer. Some shoots, she's going to be the stylist. Some shoots, she's shooting the photo and I'm just helping hold product. So that's what's like been really awesome about, I guess, just like working together is, I mean, sometimes we take advantage of it, especially during the pandemic. I mean, brands wanted content shot at home. We styled stuff at home. Like, it was perfect.
You guys are the masters at that, though.
We we took turns being talent. We did brand partnerships where it was me and her in the content, shooting on a tripod. So it's been really cool, despite the work in progress that I'm also just always stoked about, because we're learning and we're growing in the midst of, growing our businesses.
Definitely.
Like one takeaway from your guys' comments is I feel like it really comes down to both of us respecting each other as creatives and respecting each other's roles individually when it comes to what we can bring to the table. And I think it's super easy in moments when we are on projects together for one of us to feel like to be the lead on the project. And usually the way we break it up is just by client. And that I feel like that was a huge pivot for us to step away from being on the same project or the same agency where roles were a little less defined and it was all very collaborative, to going on our own and scoring work on our own. Yeah. Because then Paul would bring me on the project and the roles within our relationship, but also as creatives, are really defined, where he was like, I need you to be the project manager on this, or I need you to be the stylist on this, or I literally need you to just take BTS photos, like whatever it is. And then me being able to be like, okay, he is hiring me as a coworker, not because I'm his wife, but because I have value to bring. And really being able to like make that definition of here are our roles and here's how they play into each other.
One thing I'd love to ask you guys both is, for people who are listening, let's say you're dating a creative or you're a creative, what should you expect out of someone who's with you? Like, not trying to plant negative seeds in people's minds, but like, what are some red flags? Like, if you're with someone who's creative, or you're a creative and you're with someone, like, what kind of support should you expect? Wow. And what are some signs that that's not really the most healthy environment for you to succeed as a creative? You know what I mean?
That's good.
From a lifestyle standpoint.
That's really good. Honestly, it's a question that I can maybe speak to a little bit, because, even photography, to be honest, like even when I went to college and I graduated with a degree in economics, like photography, some people still look at photography as, oh, that's a side hustle. And my thing is prior to Sami, I dated girls where I would go over to the parents' house and they'd be like, oh no, what is your real job?
Oh,
and to be honest,
hit you with what is your real job?
Yeah, they did.
I'm walking out of that house.
And that's when I'm like, see you later. No, but like, that's what's so cool about Sami is I lucked out because I met someone who is also from the same industry. Yeah. And has always been interested in the same type of stuff, where if you are, let's say you're dating somebody and they're very, very creative, and maybe you're more into something that isn't as creative. I think it's you support them as much as you can, much like they're going to support you. And also, I feel like if I, was someone who wasn't creative, it's a cool opportunity to help and have it be an almost like a way
outlet.
To get out. Yeah, an outlet, a way to get out of the day to day, whether it's a 9-to-5 like finance job, and be like, hey, I'm going to help you on that photo shoot. Yeah. But yeah, red flags. I mean, do you have any?
Honestly, as you were talking, I was just thinking about how it's about like your commitment level to overcoming like the hardships, because they're gonna come. And I think it's naive to think that you can be married to someone and be running a business with them and never come up against like hard moments where you guys aren't seeing eye to eye.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really about looking at it as an opportunity to grow and how committed you are. And honestly, it's your marriage or your relationship isn't failing if you realize you're not a good fit to work together. And if you need to step away for a season to do stuff separately, I think that's also really healthy.
Yeah.
Because when we did take a break from working together, and I think we genuinely came down to it and we're like, we just can't work together. This is too hard. This is actually making our personal relationship suffer, and we need to tap out and take a season where that's not happening. And it was a hard sacrifice, because since we met and we're originally working together, we put so much pressure on each other to make it work.
Yeah.
And I think we were like, wow, we're such a great couple together, and we're meant to be, and we're soulmates, and we have to like do everything together. And you just don't. Like there's things that don't make sense for Paul to ever be on in terms of the projects I work on. And there's things that don't ever make sense for me to work on in terms of the projects he has.
That's good.
And I think that's okay. I think just being aware of those things, not taking it personally, and understanding that as careers, you both just like love each other and support each other at the end of the day, and you're prioritizing your relationship over everything.
I like that.
And
that's good.
Then to piggyback off of that, do you have anything else to say?
No, that's good.
I was going to say one thing that really did help us when we decided to go back to working together was we really tried to implement systems that were going to work for our relationship, but also like our business. And when I talk about systems, I just mean scheduling like agendas for your meetings, like having intentional time.
Not taking advantage of it.
Yeah. And like how easy.
Treating it as if it's like another contractor reaching out to you.
Yeah. And really just trying to respect that person and like be like, this person is my coworker when we're talking about these things. Because how easy it is, especially if you're like living in the same house, to walk over to their like desk and be like, oh my gosh, that edit was so bad and blah, blah, blah. And
I just happened at the beginning.
Yeah. I just need to give you feedback that didn't work.
Tough.
The roast.
I'm like, come on, that photo's fire. And she's like, I hate that preset. I'm like, come on.
And Paul's like, get out of my office.
Bro. Hey, quick plug. Those are Edward's presets.
Like, okay. Like, oh. Those are Edward's presets.
Can I add real quick?
Oh my God.
I think I have something that is important.
Okay.
I think if you are dating somebody that's creative, you gotta understand that it's important that they invest in themselves. And there's going to be an upfront investment.
Ooh, that's fire.
Whether it's the website, whether it's the course, whether it's the program, whether it's the camera gear.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit different. Most freelancers, I've coached a lot of freelance photographers over the years and creatives, where their start comes from shooting portraits, weddings, brands, commercial, and then either they start their own business or they go the agency route or they go the in-house photography route.
Mm-hmm.
And your spouse, your significant other needs to understand that there's upfront cost.
Yeah. And a journey.
Yeah. So
I'd love to piggyback off that, because one thing that I thought of as we're talking about this topic of red flags and whatnot, I would say if you're a creative, a red flag, if you're dating someone especially and you're a creative, and let's just say this is like you're passionate about this stuff. If your significant other, your girlfriend or boyfriend, does not give you a good energy when you're trying to move forward,
if they're hindering your growth,
I'm not trying to plant negative seeds, bro, but like that's a bad sign, because I've been in a relationship like that before I met my wife, like where it's like anytime you feel like you're doing, like you did a good job, they give you like that kind of pat on the back, but like condescendingly.
Yeah,
is not a good relationship to be in. Like it's not conducive to your growth, and you should reconsider not necessarily being in a relationship with them, but like have a conversation about that. Because like Paul said, anybody who starts out as a freelancer, no one's gonna come out making 6 figures, crushing it.
No.
Like everyone starts somewhere.
Yep.
And if your partner does not understand that you are also starting somewhere, and they're not gonna support you in the early days, they're not gonna support you in the later days. Just understand that. Like if they're not gonna support you when you have nothing, they're not gonna support you when you have everything. You know what I mean? Because it's the same. It's just their attitude towards it.
They'll be always doubting.
Exactly. Always doubting. Always planting seeds of doubt, and that's dangerous. And I would say another thing is you have to find people that also keep it real with you though. Like I'm sure you guys have had you've had those moments where, you know, it does sting a little bit because they're giving you their real feedback on it. But you need that though. Like Christine is that for me. You know, sometimes when I show her a YouTube edit or I show her a video and she's just kind of silent, I'm like, I was like, it wasn't that good, huh? She's like, totally. Can I be honest? Like that part's a little like whatever. And I'm hurt because that's my baby. That's my edit. But then she keeps it real.
That's a good tip for two people that come together.
And
maybe they're dating and they're going to be engaged and married soon. And they're like, we're going to work together. Is you got to be willing to receive feedback. And also your significant has to be willing to give or receive feedback. So
that like right there.
Okay, one thing I want to say, only because it was an issue for like 2.5 or 3 months, maybe more. But I think that one thing that was important for me to start implementing when it came to feedback within our marriage was simply like asking him or like creating space in our schedule for feedback. Because when someone gives you feedback and you're not ready and not in the right mental space to receive it, it can be flattening, especially if you're working on your self-esteem. And I think that if it's hard for you to receive feedback, really dig and try to understand why it's hard for you to receive feedback, and then create some boundaries so that when you do get feedback, you can receive it in a way that and just vocalize that with your spouse. I feel like all it was like a quick conversation. Implement this question into your life. Is this a good time for me to give you this feedback?
True. Because some people are in, I don't know if sensitive is the right word, but they're in a growth phase where like one single thing could happen and just totally tear down what they've built up. So
especially in the early days, like when you're just starting to get
build
momentum.
A strong support system. And if you meet someone, regardless of whether they're creative or not, make sure they support you, vice versa.
For sure.
I mean, it got us through a lot of ups and downs as we're building our business. Went from our bank account was 0 to up and down and up to Sammy working at an agency where we had health benefits. It's like you run into all these different scenarios where like what really makes it through all of that is trust. It's in a relationship, but like being willing to give honest feedback and receive it.
Yep. I love that. Let's kind of go towards the end of this podcast, but I want to end it on like a story.
Yeah.
Can y'all tell us what is like a crazy story you guys have had? Either like both working on the same project and the story was crazy, or it doesn't necessarily have to be between you two, but like what is a crazy story you guys have as a creative?
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much a crazy story. It's kind of coincidental. And it just goes to show how far we've come, and also I think God's favor. But like, we're now living in Miami. And I look back at ever since we were on that first shoot, years ago, 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Dang, forever 9 years ago? Dang.
And I still have the photos from that portrait shoot. But like, we're in Miami now. And when we worked at the agency, we had the opportunity to travel a lot.
Yeah.
So we actually had a shoot in Miami. And it was for a national clothing brand. And I remember that was a tough time. Because not only were we like dating, but also we were trying to navigate how do we act on set with the client there? You know, how do we keep it 100? Like, how do we keep it professional? But also,
mind your business.
It was hard to receive and give feedback.
Yeah.
Because we were so caught up in like building our portfolio.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like now fast forward to living in Miami, it's kind of cool because
that's full circle. That's
full
weird.
circle.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And back when we were here forever ago, for the first time, we would have never imagined living in Miami. And now that we've been here, I feel like we've learned a lot about how to work together. We've been challenged, but also like our day to day and our weeks. It's so fun because not only do I have projects that Sammy's helping me on, but now she's a busy mom, but also is making space to continue to create, which I have to say is cool because most people think, oh, when I have a baby or when I get busy or when I get married, things are going to look different.
Yeah.
But it's just telling to show that like when you have a support system, whether you're both creative or one's creative and one's not, as long as you're supporting them in what they're doing and what they're passionate about, you're going to be able to make it through it. Yeah.
Felt like I just need to take a moment of silence for that. That was like
Mic drop.
Yeah, that was nice.
Also, my phone be blowing up, so I'm sorry for the little ding dings.
Oh man,
That's an email.
That's cool that you guys went full circle though. I think it goes to show that no matter what season of life you're in, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter who you're with in a relationship, you can never discount like that moment counts. You just never know like when where you're gonna end up. You know, like who knew? You guys never know you're gonna end up back in Miami.
No.
You know, and you have a kid now, and you know you live in this place. It's just crazy. You know, going full circle. So I think the key word though sounds like from this episode is you gotta support each other no matter what. You know what I mean? Yep. Even through the rough times. When Paul's like, when Sammy walks in Paul's room and says that edit is trash, you know,
come on.
Or when Paul has to give his feedback to Sammy, whatever, right? Like support is crucial.
Bro, when she gives me feedback on my edits, I just say it's the raw image. I haven't even color graded it
yet. When you show the Pixie set and Sammy's like, is this edited? Paul says, no.
Oh my god.
Do you like it? You don't? Oh no. It's not.
She knows too much and I know too much. So yeah, we challenge each other.
Okay. Well, Sammy, do you have any closing comments on this? Like, I know you got some questions over IG as well. Is there anything that we didn't cover yet?
Not really.
Okay.
I feel like we covered everything.
Is there any closing statements or forever hold your peace?
I think just like, if you do want to work with your spouse or your significant other, just be encouraged to know that it's a journey and you're not going to figure it out right away. To continue to lean in because just like Paul said, like the reward has been insane. Like I just feel like it's blessed our marriage. It's blessed Mila. It's blessed our families. It's blessed like the people that we work with in every way. And I think you as a couple, if you're working in the creative industry together, can really set the tone and pave a way for how you want to work with your clients. And to be honest, like not all of our clients have been super psyched to find out that we're married, but a lot of those clients were never good fits. And the people who love us as a team just get it. And we're like best buds. Like we just know how to create together, and it's such a fun, great experience on both ends because it's just like a party. Yeah,
that's good. Also, one thing that we left out that I want to touch on quick before we close up is when we first met, we actually came together and kind of co-branded this wedding photography business where we shot weddings for photo and video.
Yeah.
And that also was a cool test to see how do people respond and how do we approach working with clients professionally. And although we were working at the agency, it's just a whole different world, weddings. And it was cool because couples loved it. And if any of you guys are dating and you're like, oh my gosh, should we go into shooting weddings and wedding videos together? Do it because we approached it in a way where couples were like, wow, this is awesome because, you know, we're working with a couple that understands what it's like to be in a relationship. But also Sammy would work with the bride, I'd work with the groom. And we would come together and produce this incredible experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing is regardless of weddings or brand, or maybe you're shooting senior portraits with your spouse, make it an incredible experience together. Don't put up a wall. Don't create boundaries. Figure out a way to make it a collaboration, because two people in the same room that are extremely gifted and passionate is way better than one. Right?
Gotta get the mic drop on these people, bro. Sheesh. That's nice.
Yeah.
I'm feeling inspired. Awesome. Well, that was a fire episode. Sammy, where can people find you if they want to see your
Instagram,
face
TikTok,
and get
Tumblr,
to know you?
MySpace.
It's just Sammy.Stasia. And yeah, you can reach me on Instagram, on TikTok, even on YouTube.
Yep. We're gonna link it in the show notes, and definitely give her a follow. And if you had questions about this podcast episode, hit us in the DMs. And honestly, I just gotta say this bit right here. If you're listening to this and you have yet to leave us a 5-star review,
oh, come on,
bro, come on.
Hey, and if you're watching this on YouTube, yo,
give us that subscribe.
I have one funny story to tell you.
Okay.
Oh.
Go.
Babe, I'm about to call you out.
Let's bring it back.
Okay, well, we gotta call you
Hey,
out.
this is the bonus.
So I went to go give
episode.
a 5-star review, only to find out, weirdly enough, that someone had already taken my phone.
Hey, let's go. I was on her
given
email.
them a 5-star review.
Edward has left chat.
Here's the deal.
And that was my husband.
Before I joined the MIDCONVO,
I'm dead.
I had to catch up on my MIDCONVO episodes.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
So
though.
I wrote a review because, man, you were dropping fire with the Creative Rise people.
Bro, I had to.
If you haven't checked out that episode,
Yep.
check it
All
out.
I gotta say is we're taking this podcast to new heights this year, and if you guys can leave a 5-star review, we really appreciate it.
And you'll see Sammy's on there and everything. So
yeah, thanks guys for listening. Peace.